Oh dear.
So are you ready for me to start talking
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise and pledge the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take roll call.
Mr. Biltcliff? Here. Ms. Cook? Ms. Falcone?
Here.
Ms. Kunkel?
Here.
Ms. Lorah?
Here.
Mr. Polinsky?
Here.
Mr. Stoudt?
Here.
Mrs. Stoudt?
Here.
Everyone is present.
Thank you. Did everyone get a chance to see the minutes from October 24th? You can read them. Any changes, questions?
No, I make a move, that motion to approve the minutes from October 24th.
I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Minutes are approved. Communications, I have a letter from TCOC regarding the Halloween parade. The Topton Community Outreach Club would like to express our deepest gratitude to you and the entire borough staff for all of your support and contributions to our 66th annual Halloween parade. TCOC could not put this on. This family event without the financial support and assistance from the borough of Topton. We should all be proud of being one of the few communities to put on such a wonderful, entertaining event of this size. We also thank you for appearing in our parade and look forward to your appearance next year on Saturday, October 14th. We hope to continue this partnership next year to keep this Topton tradition alive. TCOC is an organization that exists to support our local community, and we thank you for your continued support of this event. Now, in addition to that, if you recall that last meeting in the folder of what all the organizations financially requested or said anything, TCOC requested no money for that. They listed the things that they wanted, but they requested no money. This year, Borough, with all the police officers and trash, etc., we put in about $4,500 for that. And we had an after parade meeting a couple weeks ago, last week, whenever it was, with all the safety and TCOC. And they wanted to get, we put out to try to get fire police to be there. They couldn't, and if this is the way it's going to be and we can't get fire police, we have to look at like Flagger Force, which it would cost us maybe another $2,000. So you're talking, but they did not ask for any money and budgeting $6,500 for.
So we're including $6,500 in our budget to cover whatever it costs us.
That they did not,
take care of,
they did not ask for,
they're not asking us for direct money, but we had an impact.
we did, yes, for the things that they said the financial that they rely on for us. And when they put their letter out to everybody, they put down that their budget is $17,000, and it's not put in there how much they request from us, but they request nothing but yes, and this year it could be $6,500. That's just kind of an FYI along with the communication.
They reimburses.
Pardon?
No.
They reimburses.
No, I'm just, that's
What
just.
happens if we don't supply it?
It could possibly not have a parade.
They wouldn't have a parade. That's what we said. That's
Or
what
possibly we could partner with them to let them do some fundraising in our parks during an event where they could generate more money, which could offset this amount. It's just something to think about, and maybe we could do something to.
They do
their fundraising.
they do the fundraising for they have the same people, the minimum people who do the sausage sandwiches. I'm just,
Okay.
this is just an information of that in addition to their communication.
And they, for the parade, I believe they said when they invited people to participate,
that it cost them $17,000 to do the parade, and that's fundraising of theirs already.
The other communication I have is from Stoudt, tax collector, to whom it may concern. I'm resigning as tax collector for the Topton Borough. After my phone conversation with Lorah, she had brought it to my attention that it was a consensus of the community that my office hours for tax collecting were insufficient. As I stated to her and anyone who inquired about my hours, I do have a full-time job, which takes precedence over any other jobs I have. I believe the community needs a tax collector with more flexibility in their schedule, which I cannot offer. I tried to accommodate by making myself available by appointment, which only a few people took advantage of. And of those few, some didn't even show up for the appointment. My office hours were the first Saturday of every month from 9 to 11. In all honesty, there was only one Saturday that was worth my while out of all the ones I was there. There were many days that I just sat for 2 hours and no one showed up. I will finish out the year for the borough as tax collector. 2 days. So that makes us have to,
You have to act on the resignation first, and then within 30 days after the effective date of the resignation will be effective 11/59, December 31st. So I would say at the by the January meeting, you should appoint a tax collector.
so we will have to, first we have to accept her resignation.
Right, and that would be effective at the end of the day on December 31st, 2022, since she has agreed to stay.
And we actually should advertise once that is done immediately, correct?
You should, I should advertise, right, you should start advertising now, because it is difficult to find qualified individuals who, among residents, because this is a smaller population municipality, and qualified and interested individuals willing to serve.
I'll make the motion to accept the resignation.
Effective 11/59 on December 31st, 2022.
And you second it?
I'll second that.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
It's funny, we all said no.
You know what, I was going to
Okay,
say, what if we
accept
don't
it.
accept?
You just have to keep doing
I
it
wish you
forever,
would stay.
sorry.
I understand.
Mayor's report.
In lieu of the long agenda, I had nothing today.
Police report.
I am not Chief Olshafer, I'll just say that. Mike Quinn filling in for the chief tonight. He is at Fleetwood with the budget meetings and whatnot going on. So unfortunately, he was not able to attend this evening. For the month of October, there were 678 patrol miles, 87 patrol hours, 11 incidents that took 4 hours, 1 crash investigation, 6 traffic citations, 1 non-traffic citation, 9 hours on traffic checks, 1 hour on paperwork, 6 vehicle stops, 6 hours of follow-up by the criminal investigator, and 2 hours for court time. You'll see that, I believe everybody gets this report, is that correct? Okay, so you'll see that on the 26th of October, we did respond for an assault that just occurred. The victim stated that he was jumped in front of his house by known individuals who arrived in the vehicle. Minor injury was sustained by the victim. The chief has it listed here as investigation remains open. However, I can just give a little update that the victim is not cooperative with ourselves. Apparently had some other incidents with the state police where he was not cooperative with them either, and has basically at this point signed a cease to prosecute form, so that incident will basically be closed out. In addition to the other citations that were listed, the chief does have here that there were 5 parking tickets that were issued, 2 warnings for stop signs, and then another warning for speed. The promotional exam was completed. The chief has met with the Civil Service Board on 11/3 to certify that list, and actually that's another action item on the borough's agenda tonight for the recommendations of the Civil Service Commission if they're going to do the promotions or not. The new body cams have finally been installed. That took a long time to coordinate and get in, and training was actually completed last week. So it is now, not sure what all the chief went into, but the system now is integrated between the in-car camera system and the actual body cam system that we carry. So it all works as one, which is better than the system that we're currently using for the body cam system. So it is a much better upgrade to what we have, and should be beneficial for all parties, actually, as we go forward with that. Planning the annual Christmas event, which we do the Cocoa with a Cop event, that'll be held December 3rd at the Fleetwood Community Center. And that is what we have
Thank you.
told.
Does anybody have anything else to ask him?
Yeah, the only thing I have, and I sound like a broken record sometimes. I was on a walk the other day and almost got hit by a car pulling out, parked the wrong direction. And I've brought it up many times. We need to make sure, have your officers ticket cars that are parked facing the wrong direction, because my wife almost got hit driving because someone pulled out and almost hit her head on. It's all over town.
Is it all over?
Oh, it's all over town, because I go on a walk every morning and I probably count 3 or 4 cars every morning at least that are parked in the wrong
That all
direction.
started after we lost the regional police, and people started just doing that.
Yeah, so if they could just keep an eye
Maybe
out
they
for
could
that,
have warnings,
appreciate
so
that.
that maybe they're not aware that that's an ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if you warn them or whatever, but it's just
They just might not know.
a concern,
Yeah.
because you're not expecting cars pulling out that way.
It's a big ticket, they don't have it.
So, go ahead.
Anything else? Thank you, Officer Quinn.
Thank you very much.
Hearing of visitors.
I don't think Brian
I was
qualifies as
just
a
gonna
visitor.
say,
He's part of the area
he's
city
looking
associates.
Okay, are you
Have you
waiting?
met everyone, Brian?
No, I don't think I have actually, but. I'm Brian Smith, Blueberry, I said, associate.
He's the head of our landscape architecture department and the manager for the park improvements that have been occurring. So, with all the rigmarole that we've had, and we had a meeting today, I wanted to have him come just in case there were specific questions for him that you folks had. He can delve a little more into history and some of the whys and wherefores, because my involvement has been fairly short with recent events. So that's why I had him stop by.
Thank you, Brian, for attending.
Sure.
So that family crest on the sweater, I didn't think you were here for public comment.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you later, Brian. Joan.
Okay, I've got a number of items under my report. The status of the memorandum of understanding for feasibility studies for the secondary well. Been in discussions with the solicitor for Long Swamp Township on the MOU for the feasibility studies. We had some discussions last week about how to proceed because of some needed updates to the Woodside and Freehold agreements, which were entered into in the early to mid-1980s. They do need some updating, but I don't believe that this is the proper context for making changes to those agreements. So based on our discussions, my recommendation would be that we simply rescind the actions of 2021, which is what they have been requesting in order to enter into the MOU, and simply agree to discuss updating the Freehold and Woodside and other intergovernmental agreements. Is that the consensus of council?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'll proceed in that manner. Communications with Norfolk Southern, I had communicated with one of their right-of-way managers. I don't have anything further to report. I will continue to attempt to at least get the permission that's needed. I know you're laughing, because I know policing of the right-of-way with railroads is of prime importance to railroads, and they require agreements, licensure, insurance to enter their rights of way. So
How do they handle that with just citizens who walk across?
with citizens who walk across, I don't know that they have
So if I'm just
have-
walking across with a shovel and I happen to shovel all the snow and everywhere, what is that?
Yeah, well, hopefully the private police aren't called, the railroads do have their own polices, they're allowed to under Pennsylvania statutes. You know, again.
Yeah, I'm sure they're
I'm
gonna
not-
come out for somebody shoveling snow.
Yeah, I'm not gonna,
They
I'm
won't
not,
answer a phone call.
you know, again, I'm not going to recommend entering their right of way without a license agreement, but I can't stop you if you do. Let's put it that way. However, there are potential ramifications, that's all I'm saying. Okay, there were several ordinances that were advertised for tonight. The first of them is to reduce speed limits on all borough streets, and which are listed in the ordinance, which I will not enumerate all of them, to 25 miles an hour, which is permitted under the vehicle code. Unless a lower speed limit has been in the past specifically enacted, in which case the more stringent would apply. It was advertised in the Reading Eagle, as had been authorized, for this meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
The second ordinance that was advertised for tonight is authorized at the October meeting, was to amend chapter 94 of the Code of Ordinances to update it, first of all, to update the reference to the PennDOT publication, which is the current publications 208 and 408 for the for publication that had been referenced in the past, which was publication 203 on street openings, and to add a new section to restrict newly improved streets except in emergency situations, to amend the fee schedule to add a base fee for a permit, establish permit fees, and that the fee schedule may be amended by resolution, and to increase the penalty for violation of street openings to a fine of $1,000, which is a summary criminal offense. Does anyone have any questions on this ordinance? I'll need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And this is another ordinance to amend the traffic code, which is chapter 70 of the Code of Ordinances, to prevent commercial motor vehicles with a gross vehicle weight rating of 10,000 pounds or more, prevent them from coming onto borough property except for emergency vehicles, emergency conditions, making of deliveries by vendors or supplies, or otherwise authorized by the borough manager. This is to address a specific situation which has been occurring of commercial motor vehicles coming into borough property, some of which may have been to practice turning, and then to cause damage to the paving. And this also provides for enforcement and for penalties as summary criminal offense. Yes, your
I just
question?
have a question. Did we say we were gonna put signs up?
Yes, signs are authorized.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And Courtney had provided ordinance numbers which can be filled in. I also have prepared, and it would have been distributed in your packets. As you had directed that I prepare a draft ordinance requiring the clearing of not just sidewalks, but also a path on a grass plot or similar surface adjacent to a street in the absence of a sidewalk. And that would amend both the Borough Property Maintenance Code, which is chapter 150, and also the quality of life ordinance to require this clearing of a path. It is for you to review, for your consideration. If you would like to, because it was given to you late in the month, if you would like to review it and then take it under advisement and then review it, or authorize next month, asking for any changes, or if you wanna authorize advertisement now, whichever is your preference, I'll answer any questions that you may have on it.
I do have two questions. Where it says, section 1A, sub A, any of the streets or other public ways in the borough, does that include alleys?
That would, because an alley is a public way, yeah.
And the second question is, I know of one property specifically that has, along one of the streets, along Pearl actually, shrubs that are right, tall shrubs for the length of one side of the property that are right at the pavement. So do they need to cut down the shrubs?
No.
What happens there?
Actually, nothing would happen there. I mean, they would not be able to, there wouldn't be any, there would not be any grass strip adjacent to the street or public way, so they wouldn't have to do anything.
Thank you.
So if everyone plants trees within the right of way distance, then they're exempt from this?
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
Well,
wherever those trees are, I don't know what you're talking about.
You
but
could have
those
garages
trees
Take
are-
out my sidewalk and
There's
put in
not a walkway.
shrubs instead.
Right, now, understand though, that if you do that, you do it at your own risk, because the borough can at any time require that you put in a sidewalk.
It's 8, cause that's our right of way.
Yeah,
8
so
feet.
they definitely take
Yeah,
that
but that's
chance.
kind of, that's what she's saying.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Right, I'm telling you,
you skirted around it by not putting a sidewalk in the first place, you skirted around it again by not having, by putting in shrubs. You know, I know a couple properties that have fences that come all the way out to the,
Right.
and
Now, they may be in violation already, and if there's a violation, the borough is entitled to issue a notice of violation, a courtesy
So
notice.
that's something we would address as a separate issue.
It's a separate,
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
a separate issue. Now, if they bought the property and there were shrubs and trees there, I'm not gonna be the one, I wouldn't wanna be the one to say to remove them. And as I've told you before, I have questions about the enforceability of this ordinance. I'm preparing it because I feel I could defend it if I were asked to, but I'm not as certain about this ordinance as I am about the enforceability of these three. We'll just put it that way.
Because those places that you're not using it as a walkway now.
Right, and they're not, and I also think that some homeowners may balk at the potential liability. Yes, I understand people walk there, but the homeowner has the protection of them being a trespasser. Now you're taking away that protection. It's just something, as you consider this.
so is it that building a sidewalk creates, because we
Because
can walk across their property, right? Like,
Well, the borough is entitled under the borough code to require sidewalks in that area.
right, I'm saying, I'm walking down the sidewalk, this guy's got a sidewalk, next property doesn't, I walk across their lawn, I'm trespassing now, but I wasn't on the first person.
Yeah, that's
But it's
correct,
still their
because
property,
a sidewalk has been required in one place, not another.
No, I'm not saying what we require, I'm saying that sidewalk designates an open and honest pathway
That-
through.
yes, it
But not
does.
being there says that I can't go
Right,
on that
that's
property.
correct, yeah, that is correct, and there's.
So then if I just dig up my sidewalk, you can't keep walking down High Street.
Because the borough is also entitled to require sidewalks.
Right, but we're not right now, so if I
Right.
dug up my sidewalk, you have to stop, go out into the street and walk around.
And
my
you
property.
would, and the borough would be then telling you to, hey, put it back if you did that.
Right, but we're not
not
doing any of that right now, so
But I
right now
thought there was
is-
a right of way, an 8-foot right of way from
There is a right of way in which the borough is entitled to ask you to put in a sidewalk, but I don't believe that extends to allowing a public walkway across the grass.
But we are,
necessarily.
if we're.
If you're, if
The
you're
borough has
just because,
ordinances already on the books for years that say people were required to put sidewalks.
Right, and that's
So then
correct.
and they
Unfortunately,
did not
not
abide by
abide by
law,
this,
which
we'll
makes
just
them.
make them
right,
Right,
it's
right,
a
so-
sidewalk
That's
after notice, that's what I'm saying, is a sidewalk after notice is given. I mean, my feeling is you could ask anybody who has that right of way along a public street to put in a sidewalk at any time. If this is a substitute for that, I think it's a fair argument that.
I believe that's what, I think
Yeah,
This
that
is a precursor to that.
I think it's, a- I think
Yeah,
it's.
right, I
a-
guess,
it's
but I
a
understand what
commercial.
Elaine's saying, if I'm out there shoveling my yard,
yes.
But I'm,
and the guy across the street just has bushes, then has to do
yeah,
that.
and I agree, and I think that may be, that may be grounds if somebody is trying to skirt the ordinance by planting there now, after the ordinance is passed, I think that you have every right to issue a notice of violation.
So, yeah, they wanna go around this, then we'll make them put in a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what they get for trying to.
Well, we're gonna have to
Well,
do
but
that
then
anyway.
all our right of ways, we'd
Exactly,
have to
it's
do
not
that,
about
right?
what they
The
get,
borough
it's
would
about
have
trying to
to
make it fair from the get-go.
We'd have to do it on our right of ways, like the grass,
Yes,
that's a lot of money.
so.
I know that.
Just a little.
It's a lot of money just
But
paying them overtime
It's
to
also
shovel it.
just common sense for someone to shovel that right of way for a poor mailman. That's kind of how this all started.
I understand.
Okay.
I remember when Scott was here
Yeah,
and made
yeah.
his speech.
What do we wanna do with this?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you, if you wanna take the month to look it over and ask any questions, make any changes, that's fine. If you want to authorize me to advertise it now, that's also fine, whatever your preference is on this.
Can I just say something quick? Okay, I did a lot of thought on this and did a lot of walking around looking, and we be asking our guys to do an awful lot. We have a lot of right-of-ways, a lot of waterways, several detention ponds. You're talking alleyways, you're talking a lot. You're talking a lot of overtime for these guys to shovel grass. That
This
nobody's
is-
gonna
this
walk
is-
hours.
This is private property owners we're talking about.
Yeah,
Right,
right,
this isn't a-
we're
right.
private property owners.
Yeah.
What alleys
But
are you
also-
talking about?
But also,
What do you mean by alleys?
Well, you said they'd have to shovel along alleyways, that's considered a roadway as well, right?
Yeah, but I'm asking you where you're talking about.
So we own
Oak alley.
all the park property, all that would have to be done as well as all the right of ways, as well as what
They
about
have
all
to do
the
the, they have to
cutouts
do
for
the park
grass?
property
Anyway.
anyway.
Yeah, but
There
they
is a
have to do
sidewalk.
along the alley as well as the path.
And along the bit next to the ball field where there isn't a
Yeah.
sidewalk right
We
now
need to
on
be
Cherry
careful
Street.
about what we're.
all the way down Broad
alley.
Alley.
It should be on
And-
curved
and let's just say
streets or-
If safety is truly the reason that we're doing this, the uneven sidewalks in the borough are a lot more of a hazard than when there aren't sidewalks. I mean, I know 3 people off the top of my head that have broken their wrists on sidewalks in the borough. I don't know anybody who's ever been injured by walking in the street. So if safety is truly the reason we're gonna do this and incur all this expense, does it really make sense? I mean, can't the mailman make the White Street at least get mailboxes? Part of White Street has mailboxes, so that takes away their whole need to walk.
It's an ordinance, it's something for the post office, how far it is from the street, that's a national law.
But I didn't know what
Yeah.
what the.
That's why all the new houses
Criteria
need them,
is.
because they're so far off the street.
Yeah. Well, cause part of White Street has them,
Yes.
and part of White Street doesn't.
This is for private property owners, and.
right, this
We
goes
have
to
people
private.
that are unfairly able to be prosecuted by us and fined by us against other property owners that would not be prosecuted and who have not. We have an unfair ordinance if we're requiring some property owners.
We do, but it's been that way for decades, and so now we're gonna ask people, I mean, I know people who have sidewalks that come from their front door out to the curb. If they have to shovel across it, and people have to walk across grass to concrete and then down back onto grass, that makes an uneven surface, and we're gonna make them liable by, that's essentially what Joan's saying, we're creating liability for our people by making them shovel grass.
And we're liable for people, I think, who are walking in the street because of
They're not-
overuse.
I don't know, they
of
never know.
because
Yeah, I mean,
there's no
and
sidewalk.
I agree, it's a balancing of two potentially dangerous conditions. And that's what this is, it is a balancing, and that's what I tried to accomplish with this by drafting it the way I did. So, again, I want you to look at it, make a decision, either tonight or to advertise next month for January, whatever your preference would be.
This would apply equally to borough property.
This would apply to all property, to the degree that ordinances apply to the borough's a property owner. So it would apply to private property, it would apply to borough property, and I think that there are residents who would call the borough on it if borough properties weren't held to the same standard as private properties. I make no comment as to whether that's right or not, but we know the comments that we get from residents, to just be aware of that.
Ethan, I know you walk around a bit, picture, we got a heavy snowfall, they plowed the alley, where does somebody shovel?
The alleyways, I don't know how to include
I mean,
that
the
because there's no
alleyways,
physical space.
a lot of the
Yeah, I'm
alleyways are
thinking
gonna
about
be,
that too,
they're
this
gonna
alley
be plowed,
thing
so that's.
And in all honesty,
That's
PennDOT
different.
doesn't really consider them roads, like
Right.
technically, I guess,
But some of those alleys are plowed by the borough anyway.
Yeah.
So
They're
that's,
all
so
plowed by
that's,
the borough.
right, so that's not, so there already is a path there, so that's really
But
not, not
but
gonna
you'd be
apply
saying
the same
adjacent
way.
to that, so like, again, I have 10 feet or so before my fence starts between the alleyway, do I need to go shovel a pathway across?
but I would say, no, because that's not where a sidewalk would be anyway.
It's where,
But that's what this says.
it's areas where a sidewalk
It's where it
would
was
be.
sidewalk.
It says, or land adjacent to a
Right.
roadway.
Where's,
Land adjacent to a
It's
roadway,
roadway.
not where a sidewalk would be.
it's the wording as far as that, because it's where a sidewalk,
Right, a
would be-
path on a grass plot adjacent to a street in the absence of a sidewalk, I mean, that's how I have it phrased.
So land adjacent to the street, there's no sidewalk on the back of my property.
right, so there's no sidewalk on that,
That's
that's
exactly
not a
what
place.
this says.
Right, that's
So I
what-
have to go shovel a path on my,
No, that's what we're, it's
No.
where a sidewalk.
Right.
That's why it has to be edited, it should just be the front of your property where
That-
sidewalks are.
Right.
Right.
So you
Right.
could say frontage onto a public street.
There you go.
Streets, that takes away the alley
Are we
question.
taking away the alleys? Yeah, that's
If there's no sidewalk, if there's no sidewalk, if it's not a public street where people walk on, where a sidewalk would normally be.
So we wanna exclude alleys is what we're saying, correct?
Unless their frontage is on an alley, which is there any, you
I
really.
mean, it doesn't make sense, you can, if you take the alleyways out, nothing's gonna change.
Right, I mean,
Because no one's gonna shovel back there anyway.
nobody's going to, the
Right.
alleys are plowed, there's a walkway there anyway.
Right.
I still think most people walk on the road because they don't wanna walk on the sidewalk just as much as because they don't wanna walk in the grass.
Yeah, most
And they
people
can
walk
do
down
that
the
if they
street
want
and
to,
go
then.
over.
Yeah, I mean, I,
So public way used for public travel, so what are you saying, just take out alley there?
right, I would take out the word alley. I mean, I can tell you, I can tell you, Michelle, I don't live in this borough, I live in another borough, and I can tell you that I have fallen on uneven, cracked sidewalks. I've never been injured walking in the street. So, I can tell you that there is something to what you're
To
saying.
me, I just don't think the benefit is there
However,
over the cost.
Yeah.
I just don't, I don't think
however,
it's there.
I see the point as to school children, do children walk to school by themselves? I don't even know.
Yes.
They do,
Yes.
okay.
I don't know, we have all the safe paths to school now.
It's just a-
And they still walk across the soccer field, baseball field against.
I said that to everybody
That's
when we were
3
working
feet
together, I
deep.
was like, they're gonna walk, but they're gonna walk, but we have to.
Well.
I mean, I would love to have brand new sidewalks in all of Topton, but I can't ask the borough residents to pay for it.
Yeah.
So I just, to
Or our
me,
guys to maintain them.
yeah, to me, the cost just way outweighs the very tiny little benefit of when we get 3 feet of snow, so the mailmen don't have to, risk their lives. I feel bad for them, but I'm not on board with this.
Maybe, is there a way to work out a specific, I know it's a problem on other properties than just on White Street and stuff, but that's what Scott from the post office was concerned with mostly.
Mhm.
Maybe there's a way to work out that during snow emergencies, they gotta come pick up their mail at the post office. He's not gonna have his guys walking along White Street.
Well, that's not, you see, that's
Can we
not
dictate
something,
that?
that's not
It's our
something,
job
that's
as
not
our
something the
residents to
legislature.
not
Post office, that's.
No, I'm not
And there's
talking, not
the
everything comes
people
from
that are-
legislation,
right,
I'm talking about
right.
talk to the fucking post
Scooters
office and see if
that-
they wanna work something
And,
out.
and I think
They can't
that,
just
Right.
right,
Right.
that.
Fucking-
You're supposed to, and they have rules to follow too in regard to.
right, but what I think is that the place to put that maybe in the newsletter, that, you know, you have options here, you can pick, if during snow events, you can pick up your mail at the post office, because
I
there are
understand,
certain
I
hazards.
gotta show on my sidewalk.
Right, but there's no benefit to the residents to do that.
Right.
Because right now, we're gonna bring it to their door in the middle of a snow emergency.
Right, but,
So why would they opt to do that?
right, but I'm saying
Does
that
that sound like a
maybe
good
the
idea?
post office, maybe if the post
All right.
office says we're not gonna put.
I guess we need to table this, cause like.
Yeah, we need
Yeah, we
to
should
move
read
on.
this.
Let's read it over, look at it next month, and possibly advertise for January.
And
Okay,
it's not
because-
only the mail people,
What?
it's not only the mail delivery people,
Mhm.
there's children, there's elderly, there's other people who
Right.
need.
And,
That way.
yeah, and I think all these considerations need to be balanced, so I'd like you to take some time to take a look at it and see what could be changed and what could best meet everyone's needs on this.
It's a shame no one has common sense is all that.
How do we wanna do that though, so if she would have, should we discuss it at the next meeting?
Yeah, I would just carry it to that, there's no
Just table
motion
it.
needed, just.
Yeah,
no
bring
motions
ideas.
needed.
Look at it,
I
think
mean,
about it,
Carry
write
it
your
to the
own
next agenda.
notes.
Yep, carry it to the next agenda, you're welcome to email me if you have any
Okay, that's
questions
what I was
about
gonna
it.
say, yeah.
Yeah, you all have my email address, you're welcome to email me, I'll answer any questions you have.
They do that?
Alright,
When they go?
Okay, that's.
Borough manager,
that's all I
oh,
have.
sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all I have unless anyone on council has any questions.
Okay, before you is a revised version of the proposed 2023 budget. What I did was, as Ms. Lorah stated, revise the amount. For example, under park activities, because that included the TCOC version of their parade. So there are some spots that have been revised, they're in yellow. The budget is in color for your review. One thing that we did find is that all departments, water, sewer, public works, are collectively using some of the fuels because of our number of tanks. So that has not been allocated per department. For example, Alex uses the diesel fuel at Public Works' building on Keller Street. So that needs to be added into this budget, so that hasn't been done yet. We need to talk to Alex to see really how much he uses and to give it fairly as an expense in sewers budget for 2023. Are there any questions on any of the highlighted items?
The recycling grant? From 80,000 up to 1,000,006.
That's not the recycling, that is, oh, so that's the grand total. Yeah, and that's due to, us recording, revenue and expenditures for the TASA project between 2022 expenses and 2023 future expenses.
The copier IT website one, when I paid $7,000? Or is it that because we're getting something new or something?
Okay, I'm sorry, general administration
Yep.
under 406-252.
Yep.
Our, insurance agent has, and he's a broker, I'm sorry, Weishantz provides us with our insurances. When we first, talked about cyber liability insurance was when I first got here, or maybe a year into it. He pushed the availability of it, and now, we might not even qualify based on the application, so now he's kind of pushing us away. So, part of the application is to have an assessment to see where your weaknesses are and to rectify them before getting under insurance. So that's where this plays a part. So it's going to cost us about $1,500 to have that assessment by our IT firm. I don't know if we will qualify for the insurance even based on the results of that, or if we can rectify our shortfalls. So that's what is included in there.
He highlighted just above that, 41,040, but 2022 was 11,481. Health insurance includes PCOR, fee, overtime. 11,000.
That's because there's two people in the office insured.
Yeah, I adjusted it, and, prior to your copy from the October 28th meeting, was it the 28th, I'm sorry, it was a little less, I believe.
Stacy? So this total budget, these, differences that we have read on several of these areas, where that's highlighted, that's increase, we're increasing the budget by those amounts. We have a difference.
Highlighted in yellow, or is it red ink?
The red ink here, that's a negative, that's a difference in more spending, right?
Yes, so, it has to be a balanced budget per fund, and if it's different in our actual amount of expenditures and revenue, that's just the results of the year end. So if you look at budgeted, that had to balance to a 0 for 2021, and then the next column over is 2021 actual, and you'll see a difference that we had more revenue than we spent. But you can't do that on the budgeted column. Okay, so I just wanted to show you how we actually turned out for the end of 2021, so you have that. So what she was saying was water fund. Water fund had more expenditures than revenues come in, as an example. Same thing with sewer at the end of 2021. Any other questions? As soon as I have the fuel allocated, I will get another one. This won't wait until the December. I'll get this to you quicker than that, before your December meeting. Any? That leads me to my next question. I put it on the agenda just as a placeholder. Did not know, after we discussed presenters of all of the requests for dollars, not necessarily services from the borough, but actual dollars, it has been the habit of the library to always come into council at the end of the year to discuss why they need what they need. Did not know if anyone still didn't want that.
Didn't want what? For her to come?
Or any of the requesters to come.
I mean, in my opinion, they're welcome to come talk to us, but I'm not gonna call them here to.
Okay. So if I make it open to, I'll just put an email out to anyone who submitted that council is going to make their final decisions in December, and of course, they're open to the public, so they're more than welcome to attend.
One thing I would find helpful, like even like, for example, with the library, if they could send us what their total budget is, like where they're getting all their funds and what their total numbers are, so you can see what are the portion of their budget we represent. That would be
Is
very
that in
helpful.
there? Submission, yours was
Yeah.
pretty lengthy.
They have they have,
Have you had a chance to
Here's a
take a look
big-
at this a little
here's
bit?
the library submission.
Oh, is it? I didn't really,
It's-
look at that. Is that something that's online, do you know?
I would say, you know what, they probably have all that available to the public, but this is pretty much,
Because what I required was a budget as well as any other financial information that we would find helpful.
it's pretty, there's a lot of detail on here.
Okay, I'll look at that another time.
So does, council want a meeting on November 28th
So we
to
can,
do any more work with the budget?
I think we have to.
so we can
Yes.
finish it, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
If for no other reason than.
right.
Okay. Next is the list of holidays that is always presented to council. A simple motion to just,
I'd like to make a motion to
Approve.
approve the holidays for 2023.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor of the holidays?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
thank you. The next item is on the agenda as an office closure. Last year, we did not close for any function for the winter holiday with our office staff. Public Works did have a half day off. What I'm proposing is to have all staff on December 20th be able to go home at 10. We plan to have a brunch and all of you are welcome to join us. In addition to that, last year we closed between the two holidays of Christmas and New Year's to gather our financials. And actually I was all alone in the office, so that really didn't happen very well. So this year we plan on closing the books and doing things like that and, you know, putting things in storage. And so we would need council's authorization to do both of those things.
I'll make a motion to both go
So
home.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you very much. And then just one last thing for FYI. The Department of Auditor General performs pension audits. Our pension administrator is PMRS, as council knows. The pension plan was recently audited, combination of a desk audit as well as an on-site for the years 2018 through 2022. And a report will be to follow. And once that's received, I'll get it to council. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee reports. Monica?
Oh, trunk or treat, yes, trunk or treat I thought was a hit. Had some good trunks and some good costumes. I think everybody had a good time. We did have to move the location due to weather. However, I think it worked out very well over here. There was room for people to park. We had actually a lot of cars this year. Where they all came from, I don't know. But we had a very good turnout, so thank you everyone who had your trunks for us.
Maybe we should note to have it over here.
The only downside here is there's no lighting, and they kept getting stuck coming down the parking lot and going up the other side, so the line would stop.
Oh.
They'd come down and people would get stopped, and then you'd have people just standing in front of you for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think
5
it was
10
actually
minutes.
more people, because there was, I think, more people than we had down on Home Avenue. And because, so they were in a U here.
So we're just hanging out, is that what you mean?
Yes.
We're
Is
not
that what it
being
seemed
able
like
to
to
move
you?
along.
Yeah, they just couldn't move along,
Right.
because it wasn't a straight line, they were coming
Right.
down and going around the
Just the
circle
way
back
it was
up the other
configured
side.
at, you know.
But lighting was a problem.
Yes, that we knew, but there was nothing short notice to do about that, but I didn't think it was too bad. Fire company had their lights on the truck, so, I mean, there was some light. It was more.
The only nice thing about Home Avenue is it's not the hill, you don't have the hill
Correct.
either.
Yes.
You know what I mean, it's just, you know, you don't have anybody, you know, walking problems or disabled, it's not as easy
Right.
going up and down that hill, so that's, and then we have a little more room over on Home Avenue too.
You do, but I don't know if it's cause there was place for actual cars to park here, whether it be on the street, at the park, or out front. I don't know if that is why it might have had what seemed to have been more people.
Well, it wasn't on Halloween, so then people that were going trick or treating on Halloween, people came here then, so, I mean, it all hinges on that stuff too.
Yeah, a bunch of factors, but I thought it was good. Yeah, I know the hill, however, I felt it was safer to have it over here versus out front.
Oh, yeah, definitely not out front, but I just, you know, I thought it was a little bit more space over on Home Avenue. So maybe next year we should be proactive and say, let's close the streets this day, but if it rains and we change it, we wanna be able to close the streets this day.
Yeah, see, that's why we couldn't,
Just
we'll have
leave
to
it
plan
open.
for,
You know what I mean, open-ended, sort of,
yeah.
have a rain date.
And we might wanna think about the day too, being next year goes on a weeknight. Do we actually wanna do that on a weeknight, or do we wanna possibly change it to a weekend night? I'm just saying, it's for discussion for next year, so we have time to think about that. And because I do know some surrounding municipalities, everybody has their, you know, certain day for that, yes, we did too, but think about that too. Veterans Day, we're a couple days late, but thank you all the vets. I do know there's some more dealing with this coming up in the agenda too, under another report, so. Are you announcing the things? Are you gonna do that then? That they're up?
I'll probably do that under old business, I guess.
Okay, I wanna take that if you're gonna do that. So there'll be more to come on things that were done for the vets lately in the area. Topton ambulance. The only thing I have for that at the moment is you might have already or should be soon receiving their annual donation drive. And just as a reminder, since we do have the emergency tax, everybody in Topton Borough is already considered a subscriber. So this would be anything you choose to donate in addition to that you already have.
Did anybody else receive more than one
Yeah.
email?
I received 2.
I'm gonna
So there
address
might
that.
have been a problem with whoever was doing the mail merge or
I
something.
hate to have a waste of postage.
Yeah.
sent to-
Yeah, I
Well,
received two
and
also.
we might not have had to do that, I'm gonna ask them, our meeting is Thursday.
Okay.
So depending on who the vendor was, they work well with the ambulance, so that we might
Monica,
have been a double charge.
I have a question for you. I don't know if this is directed to the right person or not, but with the ambulance, so people that have real estate get taxed, you know, for having ambulance service in our community. And I always give a donation too, so they send me that request. But is there anything we could do with a per capita tax, a head tax for residents of Topton? Because it's not really just a property owner that benefits from an ambulance being in our community. And the cost for an ambulance really should be borne by every person in the community. I feel like the property owners are getting taxed for the benefit of having, we have to have an ambulance here, but do the property owners have to be forced to always be the ones paying for everything when you have an entire community of people? We have 2,060 some people in our town.
Yeah, but if they're all living there, the property owners are taking in rent as well.
Well, no, I'm saying that all residents of our town benefit from us having an ambulance.
Right, my point is if they're living in our town and they're living somewhere, so if they own it or someone else owns it, you know, just because you rent
Yeah,
it
but
to
they're not
somebody.
paying proportionately. I I mean, like, if you rented, you're not paying the same portion that someone else will. I guess I'm just
Well,
wondering.
no, the property owner is paying it, then you would have to pass it along to the tenants.
Right, because, I mean, rental property has a higher value, and they're paying that assessment, and that includes, for the ambulance.
I wouldn't be the one to ask since the tax is designated by the borough, right?
There is
It's not designated by the ambulance.
Right, there is a provision under the tax levy, the real estate tax levy, specifically for ambulance and rescue squads. And that is part of that's part of the real estate tax, so that's what is specifically provided for. I mean, you have a possibility of that $52 local services tax under, the Local Tax Enabling Act, if I can find that.
And that's your $52
Right,
a year out of your pay.
Yeah.
I did just mean if you don't wanna pay the ambulance tax on that property, pass it along to the tenants, that's, how it would work.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, if her property is so much, it's really, every single person has the same amount of benefit. So it shouldn't be based on the value of your property and what you're paying, it should be based on per person, the budget. I just asked
Yeah, but I mean,
to do
with
that
vacancy
for
rates and
that
things
too,
like that as
because
well,
it's
how do you
all
adjust,
EMS
if you can't fill an apartment for 6 months, the ambulance isn't getting that money for 6 months, that's not up to the ambulance to find a tenant for that property.
Right, I'm just
It's
saying.
up to the property owner to pay the
All
tax.
the people that benefit are not just property owners. The same point.
No, but the people are still paying to live here,
Right,
so.
that's just not proportion, I just wondered if it could be done.
Are you asking for a question?
Yes, I am.
But yeah, that wouldn't be me.
But
But that's all part of the EMS tax, so,
Okay, thank you.
but that's, yeah, all I have.
Carol?
Okay, for environmental, nothing. For the Topton Borough Preservation Board, Larry's been trying for some time to get everybody on the board together for a meeting. He's not been successful yet, but he continues to work on it, so maybe next month we'll have something.
Are you doing it by phone and update by just an agenda being sent out, or?
Larry sends out, when he sends out what he spent money on, basically. But nothing that there's any action of the preservation board whatsoever, just for FYI.
Anything else?
Just, the local services tax is a tax that can be used towards emergency and medical services. I mean, that is the old EMS tax, and it's a rate of $52. That's the tax
That everybody pays.
Right,
Okay,
Who works?
right.
Okay,
thank you, Joan.
Elaine, you're up.
Okay, we had an issue, in the past year where we had discrepancy in a meter. Stacy had recommended that we start to use a chain of custody, form whenever we send out a meter, so that we can document the meter, when it was pulled, and all the specific data. She gave me basically a paper, just like a form that was prepared, a chain of custody. There's other ones also that you can, go offline, something we can use. I started working on this policy, which includes the use of a chain of custody document whenever there's a dispute over the accuracy of a water meter that could be used moving forward. And I did send you all, and there's one in our packet here, of a draft of a water and sewer service policy. I apologize for this getting out to you a little late. I actually gave this back to Trinda to just make sure the meat of what this is what we actually do. And I didn't get this back for like a whole week because she was so busy with all her other duties to really look through this. So I want you to take a look at this over the course of the next week or so, this policy, and see if you think there's anything that should be added or anything that you think is unfair.
Okay, wait a minute, this residential water and sewer policy, does that include the chain of
Within this document, it says in here, under disputes, when you would use a chain of custody. So when we pass this policy at some point, it's gonna include that we use a chain of custody
All right,
document. So I am just saying it's listed separately here, but it actually would be something that would be taken care of through this policy. In the one section where it talks about possible disputes over a bill, which would be chapter 3, it would be a dispute over a meter accuracy. And in that area is where we would,
Okay, that's why I was confused, okay.
That was my putting it on the agenda as two separate
Okay, yeah.
policies.
it's on there as two separate things, but really it would be something new that we're adding that we don't have in our current policy, but we really don't have a current policy that's written. So this second item in my section here relates to this policy that we're trying to develop on how we provide service and billing and what can be done as far as if we have disputes and so forth. So
Could you please send me a copy of that policy?
I will. It's
Okay.
just a very rough
Do you have
draft.
it electronic?
Okay, you don't want this
I'll
now?
send you one.
Yeah, because, yes,
All right.
it's gonna be tabled.
Okay, I have
anyway.
I have a question, the only thing I have on this, is, I have a question as far as, where is it, termination exceptions? What about, we used to always allow Friday and weekends, holidays and weekends.
Yes, and that was one thing that I didn't add because, I didn't know if we even needed to bother mentioning when the days that we would not terminate.
I think it should be in there. If we're going through all this, I think it should be in there.
I mean, we can put in there that we will not terminate on those days, that's just the one sentence that can be added.
Okay.
So the meat of this, or the general amount of information in this, actually came from the policy that Kutztown has. And I had to weed through all of what they have, and it took a while to actually put this all together with what we do and what they do more than we do, because they have more services that they provide to their residents than we have. So a lot of this came from what they developed for their town that we put into place. And then, and there's some things, Stacy, you mentioned maybe that I missed. If you could,
I'll review it again.
yeah, let me know, because I have, like, this here is all the paperwork that I used to put these 9 pages together. These are all of the emails from Trinda and things we talked about, and I may have missed something, so please let me know if there's anything I need to revise. This is just a draft, I just want you guys to take a look at it, see if you think it's fair, and let me know if there's any, whatever changes you want to put in it. That concludes my report.
Okay, so you are gonna put a line in there about,
Yes, I will. I'm gonna wait till hear from Stacy on other things that I may have been missed. And then if you see anything else you wanna put in here or take out, or you think it's, there's a couple things I felt were a little unfair, but I'm gonna get this in total form, and then we'll talk about those things. And in writing this, I tried to stay away from putting specific information on fees and stuff, because that's gonna come from a fee schedule. So we don't have to worry about making those changes over time.
anything else?
That's it for me, thank you.
All right, let's see, tree lighting is Sunday, December 4th from 5 to 6:30 out here. We have cookies and beverages and caroling, lighting the Christmas tree. We have Santa, who is going to have doggy treats and people treats also. And also what is not on here is that we are having, is it till the end, are we doing that till the end of the year? Friend food drive?
Oh, I saw the box
There's,
there.
yeah, we're having, donation for Friend Incorporated out here for the rest of at least this month.
Is that just people, or do they do animals too there? I don't know
No,
if they
Friend
do
is
Friend.
people.
Okay.
Is it me or does it seem like our tree doesn't grow?
And they were watering, I know they watered it.
No, I just
Oh, I
doesn't
know, I
seem-
don't know.
We've had
I
it a
have to-
bunch,
I have to
couple
pay
years,
attention.
couple years now, and it doesn't.
Fun, last year, we planted it last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
That's always probably.
This was a brutal year for trees.
Yeah,
This
'cause
is
it's
just
And
our
they-
first year.
they watered it.
Really.
Didn't we just get it right
Last
before
year.
tree lighting?
Yeah.
It's been like a year now. Yeah.
Okay.
Michelle, how long is that food drive, till what date?
Are we doing it just for November?
We're doing it until the end of water bill collection, and then we're gonna donate it
Next
before
week.
the new year.
This week?
It'll be until after late notices and things like that, but we're gonna donate the food at the end of the year.
At the end of the year?
Yeah, after all the water bill collection is done.
Okay, thank you.
I have nothing else. Ethan?
The zipper, so I needed to adopt, or making a motion to adopt resolution number 25, 2022, which will authorize the president to execute the agreement with Hereford, Long Swamp, Rockland to purchase the milling machine asphalt zipper.
Right, and I've gotten, the appropriate assurances regarding insurance, so I think it's good to go.
I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anything else, Ethan?
No.
Eric?
What's the plans on Main Street where we,
Okay, so,
cause I get asked at work because they
Sure,
were told,
sure.
oh, they're fixing it, they're gonna fix it, and
sure,
when did they fix it? It's like, oh.
that's about as much as you're gonna see until next year.
Till next year,
And
okay,
then
and
would
that's-
be oil and chip on top of that.
Okay, okay, that's, at least I have an answer for him then.
If you know somebody who wants to put a bigger sign out there at the corner to stop the trucks from driving through town, or help with stopping the trucks, I've talked to them like 4 times and then they just get lost and stuff, but.
We can't do that.
There are pretty big signs there that says trucks no left turn.
We already did survey things, you gotta watch because of, visual site obstruction stuff. Didn't we do all that? Yeah.
Line of sight obstruction.
Which sign are you talking
The
about?
one on their property that says turn here.
I can say something, cause that's on their property, they can do it.
It's just too small, it's, you know, it's not like.
Looked into that
making-
before, it's on their property.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
I think
Blaine
they'll
did.
need a permit.
No, I'm not talking about us,
Yeah.
that's why, if it was us, I would just be looking into how to change our signs.
wouldn't help. I'd about to say, they need.
But you know what, like, my point is that the one over on, coming down Haas, towards the school
Yeah.
there, right? It's giant, it's like 10 feet by 6 feet, it says Decker trucks, turn here, and that's all their drivers.
I know, that's
I
our
know.
drivers, it's.
The one on the other side is this tiny little thing that says East Penn with an arrow, and guys go right past it all the time and end up on my street, so.
People fly by Dollar General too, I think it's a GPS thing.
Oh, up here too, they turn on Home Avenue, it is a GPS thing. Home
Yeah.
Avenue instead of Hot Street.
Yeah, they need to buy the right one.
But no, I don't have anything else.
Eric?
Everybody had the memorandum of understanding between the Borough of Vista and Topton, so
By email it was sent.
Yes.
It's also in your packet.
I think it's a good
I like it.
I like
Yeah.
it. I make a motion to adopt it or
Yeah, what do we do with it?
Let me ask you,
sign it.
do we have, do you know what the value is of all these items, like, do you have a?
You know, the items don't do us any good, and this is a pretty good,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Nobody else wanted them, so.
Yeah.
at least we're getting something.
Yeah, I'm
Worth-
just curious.
There were
what
3 years worth of pool passes at the discounted rate.
Street
the-
sweeper.
But the ADA lift, I was just curious, like, if you had an idea what some of these
It's-
things. I
That's,
thought that
It
was
doesn't
just,
even work.
You can't because, but they have,
I thought those no
it's a
longer-
grandfather, but it's grandfathered in for them or something.
Right.
Oh,
They
okay,
have an
okay,
extension.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is great, great, I just was curious.
So I second what Eric's saying.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Very nice of them.
So we just,
It is very
we just
nice of
Do
them.
the pool,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I had said, I had reviewed it, and I
Let's
said
fill the
to
pool and
Stacy
make
that,
Put a pavilion out there and have
that
a
we
nice
need
big
a
grass
certificate
area.
of insurance, including workers' comp.
for when they take it out.
Yeah,
Eric,
yeah.
the game's talking about.
But that's, but I had said my comments, that I said to council very simple, no legalese to the point as far as the equipment use of the street sweeper, rate of increased charge, and as is no warranties, it's fine. But we do need the insurance certificate.
Michelle?
Okay, drought watch for Berks County was lifted on October 17th. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Yay, okay. Next is the PA Small Water and Sewer Program Grant Application for East Barkley Street, water main replacement, resolution for adoption and commitment of matching funds. Everyone had a chance to take a look at it? We're asking for $352,529.
What are the matching on?
15%.
15%.
So it's estimated at 62 to 11, if you needed a dollar amount.
I wasn't gonna do that till later, but okay, that makes it easier for me.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns before we pass the resolution?
No.
Then I make a motion to pass resolution 26-2022.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
Big
opposed?
one. Treasurer report for November 14, 2022. General account, $78,779.31. Water account, $98,389.90. Sewer account, $193,389.49. Rebed sewer account, $5,001.51. Pool account, $232.03. Payroll account, $5,550.90. Recreation park project account, $345,639.84. Liquid fuels, $274,140.81. Fire fund, $108,193.30, and ambulance fund, $58,885.33. So everyone looked over the list of bills and transfers. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Whoever.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Who seconded it? Was it Monto?
I said either one, we kinda said it at the same time.
I did not get a breakdown of how many people are behind on their water bill. I have a balance in the 61 to 90 day of $255.06. I'm gonna assume those are payment plans from the last bill.
What are you assuming? I'm sorry. Could you repeat that, Michelle?
There's $255.06 in the 61 to 90 day past due.
That could be the accumulation of finance charges that people don't pay until they absolutely have to. Same thing with over 90.
Right. Okay. Last I asked, she didn't have a specific number on how many people still owed, so.
We'll find that out when they're due on Monday.
And that's all for me.
Banner?
No.
That's an old business.
Okay, that's right, sorry.
Here was gonna start. So I did, for the engineer's report, you'll notice that much of it is carryover. We're in the process on the NPDES permit. The MS4 information is just, we go on a little bit of a hiatus here after the report was issued, until DEP has gotten through everything. The grants that are out, I will let you know that we have been made aware that it is anticipated that at the beginning of the year, they will release another round of LSA, probably the same time they give the awards on the ones that we've been waiting for a long time. So there will be another opportunity, and the LSA grants are the ones that have the least strictures on them as to what the project can be. So it gives you some freedom to choose a project in that sense. Like I said, the other items are largely waiting, some for your action, like the roof. The Oak Alley project, Brian had gotten the okay. We're waiting on the final, to do any final paperwork or where that money goes. until we see what's needed for the TASA project. So that's why it hasn't been fully earmarked. That'll need your direction.
So we're gonna be able to,
So at this point, it can go either way. It can go to be a different project and that's what these CNR would prefer, is one that already hasn't been bid out and awarded, would be their druthers. And we may be able to, this is me putting words in Brian's mouth, so I'll let him talk, but we may be able to mix it up a little bit, fund some of TASA and have a new project, which they'll help.
Well, coordinate that with DCR, but that would be a possibility.
Yeah. So, and like I said, the reason I have Brian here is to give you a little bit of an update on, and be able to answer questions on the TASA project. So,
So for just an update on the TASA project, we've been working through on the drainage issues along White's and Callowhill. We did have our survey crew back out this past week. We received some additional survey information, and so now we're able to put together a final plan. We'll be submitting that at the end of this week to PennDOT for their review.
there's a meeting Thursday that the goal is to figure out how we're gonna winterize the project, so we can get this stuff closed up and usable. So that it's not a hazard. I did look at the spots we looked at, and the one up at the entrance to the school looks like the contractor over excavated a little bit. That's supposed to be dirt. That area next to the
curb.
Yeah.
Where they put the curb in,
Yeah,
the
so what are
stone,
The stone is a mistake. It's supposed to be a dirt area.
So what are they gonna do?
They'll have to take out the stone.
Take out
and put in
the
dirt.
curb?
Yeah. No, the curb's right. It's the curb's there to direct water and to keep it from coming up and over the
Freehold.
ramp
Right.
from Freehold. So the curb was right, but it was supposed to be backed by soil, not by a concrete area. And
Okay.
I understand, it looks like a concrete pad, but it's not supposed to be.
Okay.
So that one.
It filled in, they're just gonna fill it in.
And the issues around the drainage had occurred because of PennDOT's adding the pavement base drain to the project. And then there being some difficulty around getting the precasting shop to do the doghouse manhole that would be there at the corner of Callowhill and West. They could have built it in the field, but to get one that would work, what we've had to do is cut the pipe and make it not a doghouse, so that they're putting new pipe between inlets. And to do that, we had not originally planned an inlet in the grass area, so we had to get more. That's why we had to have the survey folks come out, is to get some of that. And on the other side of Callowhill, our survey was done before the house was removed. So while we were out there doing the grass work, we went ahead and got that whole area so that it would be, we're trying to head off questions by PennDOT. We've been getting every submission new questions, so we're trying to anticipate and get this right and through their process.
so the drains, are they already made, ready to set?
What one was, there's a doghouse that was made, it wasn't going to work was the problem. And so regardless of what we came up with, we couldn't find a way to use it.
So they still have to make.
They have to make, they're all standard boxes now, but they have to make those, and we gotta get PennDOT's approvals, which.
So what they did was they're separating this part out from the stuff at the school so they can close that up.
Yes. Our goal through
But there's
Thursday.
drains on.
Right, there's a drain up there, yeah.
So that one we're not, did they do the one
drain
on
on
Freehold?
Freehold is already manufactured, they should be able to install that.
Yeah.
Cause that would finish up that whole
Yeah,
area.
yeah, exactly.
So that's what we're looking for them to do, is button up the project and get those done. And then, because they're not gonna be, unless we get a very unseasonable warm spell, there's not gonna be any pavement being put down. So that's the reality of the
Are they
situation.
gonna cold patch where they dug up from the
They're
curb?
gonna have to talk,
Street part?
they're gonna have to talk that through Thursday. The challenge for us in this is that, we get to be called the design engineer and your engineer, but we don't, we can throw out ideas, but PennDOT drives the process.
But they're not planning on leaving it stone over the winter.
We want it plowable, so, and I think that's if they don't do plowable, they're gonna rip up the road.
Charlie, is there anything we could do, I'm concerned about all the stakes that are sticking in there to hold the forms in for the unfinished part. I'm just afraid that a kid's gonna fall and impale himself on one of those stakes. It's just really unsafe. Is there
That's,
anything we
our
can
hope
do?
is that what'll come out of Thursday, and Brian will be there. I have a conflict,
I'm
unfortunately.
very worried about that,
Is-
all the
is
kids
that they'll
walk
finish
there,
that.
and kids play
Yeah.
around, I mean.
Mike
that is-
Wetzel's, was there today, and he's gonna be there again on Thursday.
Yeah.
From
I
school.
put cones over there was 2 stakes.
I
up
wish we
there,
at least
ours
had the
and
little
I put
rubber
cones
toppers you put on, I mean, just to keep a kid.
Something.
Yeah, that's what they have the cones on, they have cones on some of them up there.
And they won't be,
Yeah.
they won't actually be useful, the formwork, if they leave it and don't pour the concrete. It's going through the winter, it's gonna move, it's not gonna be useful, so bluntly, they either need to take it out or pour concrete. So we're really at the stage where if they're not gonna come back until the spring for pavement. So that's what we've gotta see, is what PennDOT's, this isn't like some of the other projects where we sit down with the contractor and drive the boat. I think we've got a couple of folks that are involved in the project who have been talking with Michelle and Stacy and have finally become aware of the issues the borough has, and so we're trying to drive some of this to a satisfactory completion here. So I think we've seen less the last few meetings of conflict, more trying to get somewhere.
And I think it was very helpful to have a representative of the
Yes.
school district there today, and hopefully on Thursday, it'll be as helpful.
Well,
Yeah.
I think for us, it's more of a safety issue
Oh,
than
definitely.
anything.
I would not expect anything different.
No, he did a good job. It's important for them to understand the implications and the public safety items, and I think that came across very direct, and I think that'll have some results for us.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yep, any other questions, concerns?
Will you let us know the results of Thursday
Yes,
before our next meeting, or?
I'm sure
Send an email.
that Stacy and Michelle will be there, Brian will be there, so we'll get something.
Let us know. I mean, I'll find out from Mike, cause I know he's gonna be there. He spent the day doing questions.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Just real quick, old business, the first 10 banners are up. The next 10 will probably be ordered in the next week or so. And I believe we have a couple that have come in for the third wave.
Just a couple.
4.
There's been a lot of people asking me, sending me private messages, how do I do this? So I think now that they're up, people see them, and now
Yeah.
people I think are going to wanna do it more.
Absolutely.
Maybe repost it on our social media, possibly somewhere.
We had the big veterans day
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
school.
And
Going-
Anything else for old business?
People want it.
I know, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful.
Let's make a motion to adjourn.
Second, we're gonna go watch the.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed?
They didn't expect to be with Michelle. Well, thank you.
Michelle's always the first one.
Contract.
Michelle's the one always wanted to.
Yeah, I'll stay. Yeah. Too late for you to have that back.